Okay, so we're in control flow, and now we're looking at the range function. And if I just scroll up, earlier on we mentioned in our for loops that the older types of languages, so the predecessor language in particular C, but many other languages or most other languages, when they want to go through a loop, they do something where they have a start and they stop, and then they even have a step increment in between the start and the stop. And Python doesn't do this. Python actually offers iterating over the items in a sequence. So, and our sequences are like lists, tuples, sets, dictionaries, and even strings. So Python offers like this alternative, and this alternative is this range function that's really handy. So we can literally do something like this in Python. We can do a for loop, so for, and then I in range, right? We see this range function here, and I'll hover over it and we'll see what it does. And I'll make a range like 5, and then we'll do print I. Now we've got the normal indentation, so we're inside of the for loop, and we're going to print I number of times. And as with all other types of arrays and things, counting it in coding generally always starts from 0, so the range function is going to operate by default in the same type of way. So let's just run this piece of code and see what happens. And down below there you see we get a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly as expected, so super convenient. I'm now just going to hover over the range function, and we'll just see what we've got here. We actually do have, if you see here, range, and then it's just got its standard is this stop, which is just where it's going to go to, and it's exclusive. We've seen this exclusive thing before, which is if we say range 5, it goes from 0 to 4. So it doesn't include the number 5, and the reason why it doesn't include the number 5 is there's 5 items in the list of 0 to 4. So that's kind of like standard for coding. And the range object also supports, if we want, it's got a start, a stop, and it's got a step option in it. So we'll have a little bash at trying to do those as well. So, and I think we also had, we could have done, I'll keep this, we also had, I think, end equals in our print statement just to make it useful, that we're just going to print across so that we can print more things across. So instead of having 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 going downwards, we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 going across. And I'll just say this is basically our really basic range method function. So that's our really basic range function. We can try some of the other options, and we can also see what this range is. So let's actually do range, and then just do range 5 on its own, and hit return. And it says, if we just hit a range on its own, it says range 0 to 5. So that's implying that it goes from 0 to 5. So it's got some sort of start index. And if I go there, we see the blue is gone to start. So that's supports index. And then over here, it's got stop. So double underscore start and double underscore stop. So these two internal things. And then it also has a step. So now let's just increment this or change this, so we sort of like know what this range thing looks like. And let's have a little increment of it. So we'll do for I in range, but this time, oops, we've already done the in. For I in range, and we'll do the same print statement, but this time maybe we'll stick in a 2 and a 7. So we still get the same number of numbers, but we've just shifted them upwards in our list. And just wondering why there is a oops, we forgot the I, that's why. So there's a little error. We've got this underscore squiggle here. That's the linter telling me that there's a problem and it's expecting something, expected expression. I forgot to stick in the variable I over here. So for I in range, and then we can run this code, and it should go from 2 until the number 6. 2 will be inclusive and 7 is exclusive, so it's a number 1 before 7. So let's just run that piece of code, and indeed we get that. And I'll just do a print underneath just to break that out, print, because otherwise we're going to get a sequence that continues just over here. And this is outside of the for loop, and that, by the way, highlights the indentation differential. So we've jumped outside of the for loop, and now we're just going to print a line. So we've got a little gap between the two. So we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then afterwards we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, just like that. So we've got those two, and again, let's just do another print statement for a little piece of segregation. And I'll actually put that, so this is our really basic range, and then this is our range range with a start. So there's a range with a start point. And let's do a range with, because we've already automatically got the end, because we know what the end is. The end is, you have to have at least one item in there. So the end here was 5, and the end here was 7. Remembering that the end isn't the end number, it's 1 before the end number because it's exclusive. So let's try another one here, which is for I in range 2 to 7, and we will call this, we're going to now put an increment in here. So we'll say a range, I'll copy all of this, range with an increment. So we'll just try that, and let's do an increment. Our numbers, maybe we need to make wide numbers. Let's hop in even pairs, or hops of 2, and we'll start from, say, I don't know, let's start from 10 and we'll go to 20 in jumps of 2. So we're starting from number 10, and then we should get 12, and then we should get a 14, and so forth, until we get to, when we get to 20, 20 isn't included, so we possibly get just to 18. So I think we might just end up with an 18 at the end. That might be the last one, because 20 is exclusive. So let's just try and print that out. And indeed, we get this really convenient pattern with range, right? We can immediately just do, and this is the most common, this is why it's like super useful. If we can do for I in range, and automatically it's done the counting up to the number. So we've got 5 items straight away. Very, very simple, much more convenient than having to put a start, a stop, and an index in a for loop. And we're also able to put a start point in, and we're also able to put a start point in, but also, so here's our start point, and we're also able to put an increment in. So that's effectively the range function. And I think I'll leave it there, and we'll do a bit more on the range function in another video.